I don't know. I think I died on another timeline, and then I'm mourning the death of me in another timeline. I went through the biggest period of depression I've ever been in my life, which I thought was completely unrelated to this near-death experience. I lost what I thought was everything, including my sanity. I didn't recognize myself in the mirror, and I was sad every day with no reason.
All right, guys, today I have one of the craziest and most inspirational stories you'll ever hear on this podcast. And that's quite a statement considering we've had almost 1,000 episodes now. I got Ali here. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, going from a satanic biker to a new person in the last few months, right?
Yeah, in the last few months alone, my entire life has changed. So to kind of kick it off and start, you gotta start with describing who I was before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what this skin suit is and who was wearing this before me. And that person was raised in a rough, a rough childhood, rough upbringing. Not to go into many details of it, but it's one of those things that you don't know how bad it is until you tell other people stories about it, and everyone tells you how up it is. That's the childhood, right? So from that childhood into the Marine Corps. Right, into the only institution that would let me be as violent and as angry as I wanted to be, and would coax me to do that and would teach me how to do that. And so I went from being bullied, beaten up every day on the school bus and at school and at home to in the Marine Corps, same thing. And within a year or two, learned myself, discovered my own passion, my own ferocity, and fought every day, in and out. Was a grunt in the Marine Corps and did it well. Was a good Marine. 5 years of turmoil, trauma, PTSD, everything, things that you don't have a name for until you get out, and then you start Googling it and looking up what is happening. The nightmares you get from what they call night terrors, it's not a jump out and scare you. It's a dog eating your face off. It's gore. It's a Saw movie every time you close your eyes.
Wow.
That's what's happening.
So you had nightmares every day?
Every night, every day, every night, every time I shut my eyes, and it's nonstop. And from the Marine Corps left and took that same person, right, that same alley cat with me, and moved to Arizona. From Arizona, immediately dove into drugs and alcohol. When you come back from overseas, the sky is not as blue. It's just not. Things are dull. Things seem to have less purpose for a lot of Marines coming over. And that's exactly what happened. And so I got over and things didn't have a purpose. The sky wasn't as blue. I was riding the GI Bill, going to college for $1,500 a month, barely passing my classes, and just drinking and doing drugs and womanizing and doing everything that old me loved to do. I loved to do it, and I did it all the time. All I did was ride motorcycles and different women every other day and drugs, and I sold for years and was a dealer for years out there on the streets on Mill Avenue and Scottsdale, in Old Town, and sustained my life tax-free for years. And I remember there's times going down to Western Union and Western Unioning thousands of dollars of diesel fuel and smelling dollar bills to Sinaloa, Mexico, for to get stuff coming back. And now they're just memories that the skin suit has. But it's mind-blowing to me that I went through that, let alone everything else. So from that drug dealer, that biker, immediately from the Marine Corps found a motorcycle club. And I rode in a three-piece outlaw club in Arizona. Did that for a few years, was a sergeant at arms there for a couple years. And same thing, just being surrounded by men that are like me, right? Very dense, very low vibrational, very angry in some aspects people, but they're men, right? They're men, they're Marines, a lot of them are ex-military, and so I needed to be in that environment and be surrounded by that. Along this pathway, Satanism stepped into my life. And I think Satanism, the way that I practiced and the way I believed it was after reading the Satanic Bible cover to cover several times, is that you are a god. You are a god. That's what Satanism is. It's not to teach you anything else. It's to teach you free will. It's the writings of Aleister Crowley. It's do what thou wilt. But the Satanism has that darker aspect to it. when you start doing what you want, you start disregarding other people. And so Satanism pulled into my life, and I started doing for myself anything I wanted to do, anything and everything I wanted to do. I was 95% or more in service to myself.
Wow.
And I was doomed to repeat this. I was doomed to stay on this planet forever. And I was going back from the gym one day, riding back from the gym on my Harley with tennis shoes and a tank top. No helmet, no gloves, no anything, just tennis shoes and a tank top. Riding through an intersection, trying to make a yellow light. And I think that's where we all are here. Our friends passed away. Is they were trying to make the yellow light. Don't try to make the yellow light, right? You don't try to make the yellow light. I tried to make the yellow light, and the priest in front of me said he was not going to. So he stepped on the brakes, and my Harley went around on the left side of the Prius and ripped around this thing at about 65 miles an hour. Well, the Jeep Sahara that was waiting to make that turn saw the Prius slow down and turned, and he turned right in front of me. And I've never seen anybody stop as hard, as abrupt in my life. He double-footed that Jeep. He double-footed that Jeep Sahara, and he screeched that thing to a stop, and I barely missed it. I missed it by millimeters, centimeters. I missed it in such a way that it didn't seem real that I had missed it. It seemed like I had went through it, was how close I came to hitting that Jeep. Immediately, I pulled off into the parking lot, and he pulled off too, the Jeep guy. So shout out to the Jeep guy, amazing, saved my life, and we talked about it, and he said, "Oh my God, I almost killed you." Yeah, you did. You did. We talked about it. I think a couple sentences got out, and I tried to go through the grocery store. I didn't have any thoughts. What was happening is over the next hour or two, I was scrambled. I couldn't think. I couldn't think of what I needed at the grocery store. Couldn't think of what I needed to do the next day. Couldn't think of what was happening that day. And I, like a robot, got back on my bike, rode home, still scrambled, didn't know what I should do. I told my wife about it. Said, "Hey, this is what happened. I almost got in a massive accident. That was crazy." She's like, "Okay, well, you need to make sure you wear a helmet every time." Okay, yeah, done. Decided. That's it. And then I had the first vision. So the first vision came into my mind, and that was that night hanging clothes in my closet. I was hanging clothes in my closet, and a vision that lasted probably a minute and a half to 2 minutes was put into my mind as if it was a deja vu in the matter of a millisecond. It was a download of information. It was a memory that was not mine. And this memory was me smacking the side of that orange Jeep hard. I hit it so hard. I just remember this massive impact, and then everything kind of just shaking and abrupt, this massive quake. And I stopped in the closet, took my breath away, and I stopped and I took a couple breaths. And Ashley's like, "What's the matter?" And I told her what happened. I said, I just saw me hit the side of that Jeep. I just saw it, like pretty realistic. I can remember everything about that moment, almost to the point where I felt it. And it took my breath away. So I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think anything of it at all. I decided not to look into it, and 2 weeks later, we're driving through that exit. We're driving through that intersection. And again, another download of information. This one is about a minute and a half long. And it's a memory that I have of laying on the ground. And there's an elderly lady that comes over to me, and she's talking to me. And she's trying to I think she knows. And she's like, "It's going to be okay. You're going to be okay. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. It's going to be okay." There's not even anybody trying to call. Like, they're not making conversations. They're not trying to call 911. It doesn't seem like there's a massive commotion, but there's this lady talking to me. As I'm doing this, I'm gargling blood. I'm gargling. I can feel it. Gargling. I can feel this kind of coming in. I remember trying to get out the words, tell my wife I'm sorry, tell my child I love her. And then it starts to fade to black, and then white, and then it's done. And that memory is still here. And it was put into my mind in a millisecond, right? So what happened? That's what I needed to know. What happened? What was that? And I told my wife what happened, and I said, I think that I died on another timeline, and that I I don't know. I think I died on another timeline, and then I'm mourning the death of me in another timeline. And I went through the biggest period of depression I've ever been in my life, which I thought was completely unrelated to this near-death experience. I lost what I thought was everything, including my sanity. I hopped on medication to medication to medication, different anxiety medications over and over and over. I ended up buzzing my head like Marine Corps standards. You know, just this period of being lost. I didn't recognize myself in the mirror, and I was sad every day with no reason. I didn't know. I couldn't explain it. And this lasted probably to the end of the year.
Wow.
Just a nonstop, constant depression. It is beyond just an anxiety thing. It's a depression aspect, a sadness to it. I've lost something. So I started asking myself questions. And I think the first question I asked after being in this massive state of depression so long was why? Why am I so depressed? When did this happen? When did this trigger? When did this event trigger? And started to find out or started to ask why, who, and what I am. And I think actually what triggered this entire event and this entire thing to get me in front of you now, knowing that I only started social media just 70 days ago, 60, 70, this is all new, is I stumbled upon the Gateway Experience from the Monroe Institute. And the Gateway Experience, the Monroe Institute, is a institute created by some shadow government, essentially back in the 60s and 70s, to teach the average everyday citizen to do what's known as remote viewing or astral projection, which is a teaching and training of your higher consciousness to leave your physical realm. Well, I start reading over this paperwork, and the baseline to me is telling me that I'm not me, that my higher consciousness is separate than this physical body. That's what I'm reading. So I start doing more research, and I pull up eventually the archives from the Monroe Institute. And what started all of this, because I was still a Satanist and I was still the old me, so I thought before that, was this first meditation. The first meditation I did with the Monroe Institute was me in a dark room in my house during a 25-minute video of binaural beats. And towards the last maybe 5-10 minutes of the meditation, as they put your body to sleep and your mind is awake, as my eyes were closed in a pitch black room, I could feel my heart racing. 5, 6, 7 beats. I'm talking fast. It was racing. It was so fast that it's the only thing that kept me tethered here. I could feel my eyes darting back and forth. I could feel the presence, a light. It was so bright in my vision. It was like somebody was shining a flashlight from me, maybe 5 feet away on the other side. And they were going from the top of my head to the bottom, back to the top, back to the bottom, back to the top. And it was this speeding, and it was this process and this energy that I felt. I knew it. And videos number 3, 4, and 5, they start teaching you out techniques to roll out of the body, to fall out of the body. When you make when you get your physical form and your higher consciousness to start vibrating at a level high enough, then it can exit this dimensional plane. And that first video, the effects of it are what led to all of this.
Wow.
So the effects of that first video, I got out of the first meditation and told my wife, this is what happened. I just literally, like someone was shining a flashlight. I remember being in the living room and talking, I'm like, this is intense. This is crazy. What do you mean? It was like somebody was shining a flashlight. I could feel my heart racing. My eyes were darting back and forth as I was visualizing, like I could see it. But I was so enthralled in what was physically happening to me that my higher consciousness was having a hard time of detaching, because it was like listening to my heart, and that is keeping me tethered. And so I ended up looking at the CIA documents, looking at the stuff, and it tells you that this is exactly what you're going to feel. You're going to feel your heart racing. You're going to see the light. You're going to see this. You're going to see this. And it was just an explanation that I'm on the right track, that I'm on this right path. But what happened after that is everything in my life changed. Everything in my life changed from this period of meditation. It started what I now know is called a spiritual journey. A spiritual journey doesn't happen to everyone, but when it does, it changes everything in your life. And it'll always change everything for good. It'll always only ever bring good and blessings into your life. The spiritual journey that not everyone goes through in one lifetime, in their lifetime, is the awareness of what and who you are. And what happened to me that day is that I did die. I died that day. But I died that day in that timeline. I died that day in that universe. And my higher consciousness decided that it wasn't done with my soul contract and rewrote me to a new timeline. When my consciousness got put into my newer body, this one here, it's aware. I'm more aware now than I've ever been. I'm not on any medications. I've been sober for years, but I'm aware. And I went through a period of depression, anxiety, because I wasn't mourning the death of myself. I was mourning the loss of my wife and my child. I left my wife and my child in that timeline. The wife and the child that I knew prior is in that timeline. And I switched to a timeline that as closely resembles the other one that I left as possible so that I could continue my life path. But in switching over, the Mandela effect has absolutely wreaked havoc on a lot of my memories.
Really?
A lot of them. There's ton, and I find more and more every day of things that I remember to be true in my childhood that are not the truth.
Yeah, the Fruit Loops one.
Dude, there's a lot of ones. Yeah, and I think what's happening is on a global scale, we are raising vibrations. We're raising frequencies as much as the evil in this world wants to tell you that we're not. And wants to show you social media and all the negatives, and 98% of news is negative and all these other negatives. The world itself is raising its vibrational frequency. It is ready to go into the next dimensional of the next dimensional plane, which is consciousness. It's consciousness. So consciousness supersedes time.
Right.
And that's what's happening, is that we are waking up as a conscious collective. And with that conscious collective, you'll start to learn about things within yourself and things within the outside world. With this awakening up, magic happened. Magic happened in the last 2 months. In the last 2 to 3 months of meditation, I'm here, I got to meet you. I've made more money in the last 2 to 3 months than I've ever made in the last 3 to 4 months, I guess, combined. So in the last 2 months, I've made more money than the last 6 to 7. It's a double or triple effect since starting meditative practices.
Wow.
To that. And the transition was everything. My mindset changed. I would never cover my body in these tattoos. I look in the mirror now and I'm not proud of what I did to myself, but I'm okay with it. And I wear it as a testimony, as a badge, because now I'm able to get in front of millions of people and tell my story and make it more relatable to them. Have them understand me because I came from where they're at. I was you. I saw you. I was beaten down, abused, and I made it. And I made it through belief alone, through meditative practices and beliefs that I was going to make it here and get here, and that I had already done this, been here. I've had more deja vus in the last 2 months that have reiterated that I'm on the right path. I'm 100% on the right path now. Everything changed from the way I dress, the way I talk to people, my likes, my dislikes, my music. I've learned that the way I like to dress is more 60s and 70s style, more 50s, 60s style. It's just everything's it's different. I'm different. I'm 100% different. I'm no longer the same person at all in any shape. My mind is constantly evolving and is constantly learning. I'm reading books. I taught myself how to speed read so that I could read faster.
Nice.
I read about a book a week at least to try to pick up knowledge. But these are Billy Carson, Dolores Cannon, Neville Goddard, Bob Proctor. These are people that would teach about energies. And they all had they were all correct. I just feel like there's a more mainstream way to give that to the people. That's the message. Like, there's a mainstream way to tell people that you can be anything by just choosing your thoughts alone, by simply deciding that you wanted to do that and being that, giving yourself of the effect of that belief. The universe will give you the cause. It'll hammer that cause into you because it has to. It's the universal law. As above, so below. So you give it the below. You give it the below. The below is the emotions, the feelings, the everything. I've done this. I've made it. I'm happy. I'm blessed. I am everything that I've wanted to be. And because of that, the universe will give you the cause. And it'll make you see that you are everything that you've wanted to be. You are as happy as you've ever thought you are. You are as wealthy as you've ever needed to be. The universe's answer will always be the word yes to everything. So if you want more money, yes, you do. Yes, you do want more money. I want to be healthy. Yes, you do. Yes, you do want to be healthy. I am healthy. Yes, you are. The answer is always going to be yes. I have wealth. I have abundance. And seeing that and feeling that effect truly, that is the elite secret. That's the secret. That's the secret to success. And it's the reason why successful people find more success, because they know it, they believe it, and they see it. But everyone can find that success. And it's going to be small successes. It's going to be what's called magic with a K at the end, where it's not street magic. It's actual magic. I'm talking about every green light on the way to work, every parking space open that you want, deals at the grocery store for the food specifically that you like, people coming into your life, people that you call. It's this synchronicity and this vibrational thinking that I want people to start hopefully figuring it out. Ask questions.
I've had some synchronicities lately where I'll be thinking of someone and then they'll call me the next day. It's crazy. You know?
There's different manifestation methods. There's one that's called the whisper technique, where you go into a deep meditative practice, envisioning yourself whispering into someone's ear, and the most real worry that you can. And this is something that's been taught for years. I mean, it's not old stuff. This is ancient practices. This is ancient stuff that has just been watered down and flooded by the by the media as not true. They've told you, there's a word for it in every religion, right? It's either prayers, or if you're an atheist, you're manifesting. It's the same thing. It's always existed.
Right.
It's always been here.
You mentioned deja vu earlier. What do you think that is? Do you think that's another timeline bleeding over into our timeline?
I think the most accurate description of deja vu that I can give is I believe that it is a chance for your higher mind to show you that you are on the right path because we have done this before. That is what I believe. But I believe that deja vu is the synchronicity of two timelines getting really close together.
Interesting.
I think it's the synchronicity of two timelines getting really close together, and then your higher consciousness allowing you to step away and recognize it and validate that you are on the right timeline. You were always meant to be here at this place. This is the difference between first player mentality or NPCs, where most people go through the world as NPCs, where they're on their phones, their head down, they're not talking to anybody, and they're just doing what society has told them to do. You're going to live this life 74 more times. You're just going to keep coming back here and redoing this until you get your head out of your ass,
right?
Until you wake up and become player one to your world.
You mentioned soul contracts as well earlier. So how do people watching this determine what their contract, what their purpose is in life?
I would say to try to understand what a soul contract is. I want you to think of in terms of when I pass away, there's going to be a realm that's very similar to this one in the place that there are going to be beings in it. There are going to be creatures in it. There are going to be things, people, and places that you love, that's full of love. And it's going to be real. And it's going to feel real to you. And it's going to have contracts. It's going to have deals that you've made. And it's going to have these really real third dimensional things that you would think are real here, but they exist other places. And when I say soul contract, I do mean a soul contract. I mean that your soul wrote a contract before lining up to get into this school, before lining up to take a trip down to Earth, before lining up to feel all of the hatred that Earth has to offer. Because if you can learn love here, you've mastered it. It's one of the hardest places to do it at.
Right.
But if you can learn it here, your soul is light years beyond anyone else. Souls are lining up to Earth, jealous of the ones that are already here. Because of the lessons, they volunteer to come in. They volunteer to come in, whether it's to be aborted, whether it's to go through life as an amputee, whether they volunteer. Your soul has done this. Your soul knew exactly where you were going to come in, who you were going to be assigned to as parents, and what you were going to do during your lifetime. If your soul did not get that opportunity to finish it out, it may have what is known as a near-death experience. This near-death experience is a timeline shift, and is a timeline shift to allow your soul contract to finish its time.
Wow.
And I hope that people seeing this can understand that maybe that's what happened when they almost got hit by that car. Maybe that's what happened when I ate this wrong food and I went to the hospital. It doesn't have to be being eviscerated in the back of an ambulance, seeing light and having a light being with booming words tell you, come here, right? Your near-death experience can be simply an experience that brought you near death. You know, I went from seconds away smacking that Jeep to not, and being perfectly fine.
Right.
But something happened.
Did your life flash before your eyes? Did you see memories?
So I didn't have any life flash before my eyes. The only thing that happened was the memory of me dying.
Wow.
And I know that everyone that I've reached out to, and I've heard about 16 different testimonies for near-death experiences, have had a life review. That's a real thing. They've gone through a life review, and their life review is not just a review of what you've done right in your life or what you've done wrong in your life. It is a review of the trickle effects of your actions. It is showing you, since time, everything exists right now. The future, the present, the past, it's all happening right now, and we're choosing it as we go.
Yeah.
So this is the trickle effect of it. It's going to show you that giving $5 to the lady at the store caused her, you know, to pay that back later on at another store. This trickle effect, it's going to show you these life reviews where you're going to show this long trickle-down effect of how maybe you made something wrong, and maybe that trickled into 3 other things that were negative, or maybe it was positive. And this life review could last days, years, or months.
Wow.
It's in your consciousness, and it lasts as long as it lasts for, because time is an illusion in this dimension. So I didn't have a life review, but I had memories put in there. I probably have about 4 minutes worth of memories that are not mine. You know, and it's not like you're an imagination.
They're vivid, right? You're
They're
describing.
vivid, and I could draw them, and they've never changed. It's never been my imagining a different story. It's always been the same lady, the same words, the same voice, the same person. It's a memory that I feel like my subconscious allowed me to keep, because that is what was going to force me to ask questions. Everything's this trickle effect. It was a slight nudge so that 8 months down the road, I'd start asking questions after going through this period of hurt. And then from question 1 rose question 2, and then question 3 and question 4. I went to book to book to book, Billy Carson video after Billy Carson video, and just went down this rabbit hole into ancient technologies and ancient civilizations, and then into manifestation practices, and then into CIA documents, and then to the gateway experience, and then just to understand that I don't need any of these tools, that I am this being. I am the one. I am one with everything.
Right.
And
So
it's never going to change.
would you say you are God? I know we were talking in the green room about how it has a negative stigma, that word.
Yeah, so I would definitely want to talk about that, the word God. I know I don't even think I've mentioned it too often in this podcast, and that's because I am trying to stay clear of it. So the word God is just loaded. It's loaded, and I love the word because I know what it's meaning, but it's loaded in today's world where people look down on it. They have such negative connotations with the word God because they went to Catholic school, or anything religious, right? Because God is owned by religion, almost. Well, religion is created by man. Religion was always created by man. Religion is not divine. Religion was not given to us by God.
Right.
Religion was created by men to worship God. I think that we are all gods. And what this is, it's even in the Bible of I am inside of you. I am in every single one of you. I believe on a scientific level that God is us. God is in all of us as he is in everything. I believe that God is the electrons that bind everything. To this day, we've never photographed an electron. They're just too small. They don't exist as actual particles.
Wow.
The electrons around are, I think, simply the ether. That central thing that is everything. I think that that's God. I think that that's the energy source. That is, and when I say God, I mean energy source. I mean a light source of energy, of love. You know, and I heard somewhere that, and this was profound for me, so I want to repeat it here, but it was, why did God do this? What made him create this? And here's what was told, is that God is infinite and God is everything. So if God is everything, then that means that he is nothing at the same time, because you cannot be nothing. You cannot be everything without being nothing. And so because God was nothing and everything, and he was tired of being nothing, he wanted to be something. The only way for God to be something was to fractalize himself. And the only number that that God can fractalize himself in, if he's everything, is infinite. And so God, out of pure love, from deciding to not be nothing, chose to be everything. And he chose to put himself into everything to simply experience it, good or bad. It does not matter. He does not, I don't think he cares. I don't think God has, I think maybe a preference. And I'm starting to see a lot of karmic hilarities, like a lot of really funny stuff. Like I do believe that there's a sense of humor with karma and the universe, for sure.
I see that too.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely a sense of humor there, but God wants free will. That's what it is. God wants free will because he wants to experience this. God has experienced everything from the serial killer to the single mother. He has lived everything and is going to continue to be everything. He's going to experience all the good and all the bad. And that was out of just pure love and curiosity, I feel. And thinking that helps tie you and everyone ground you into knowing that you are everything. You're everyone you ever meet. It's the same person. They might be a little bit more disconnected from themselves, but it might just take a single question.
Yeah.
You know?
So free will versus destiny, where are you at with that? Because we are born with our parents in place, right? Certain people we meet in life are predestined, but where does free will come into that?
So I believe free will and destiny are the same thing.
Oh, really?
I believe free will and destiny are the same thing. I believe that you are destined. There's a certain destiny maybe laid out. Your free will, what you may believe and perceive as free, is actually the universe kind of, and you'll see it. You'll know it to be true because you'll see things that you know and they're meant to be true. That are meant to be there. Like it walked into your life. It was easy. It was done. The deal was right here. Should have done it, and I didn't do it.
Right.
Well, the universe gave that to you. The universe handed it right to you, and then you used your free will, and you chose not to do it, and you're going to watch different things happen. You know what I mean? So but the universe is going to persuade, and it's going to push things into your life, and free will, I guess, roll with intuition. You're supposed to roll with intuition. You can utilize your free will, but if you utilize your free will completely against your intuition, I guess in that aspect, your destiny is already sealed. It's already been sealed. You've chosen it. It's one way or the other. And so your soul contract's going to know prior that I'm going to make every bad decision.
Wow.
It's just this predestined thing.
Yeah.
You know?
That's interesting. So when you were in the motorcycle gang, you mentioned earlier, very low vibrational energy. How did you get out of that? Because that is a total transformation right there, right?
Yeah. It's a club.
Or a club, my bad. I know that's a big deal.
I know. Yeah. I know. I was like, I can't be the only one. No, it's okay. Yeah. So with that being said, low vibrational beings, frequencies, if you look on the charts of emotions and charts of vibration and stuff, looking at this ancient stuff, there's a level of vibrational frequencies tied to colors that's also tied to emotions. We know this to be true because we can show you the color blue and make you feel a certain way. We can show you yellow and make you feel a certain way, right? These rays and these vibrations have frequencies that enter the light waves and they go in and they starts this magic in your brain. And so when I say lower vibrational frequency, I mean literally somebody whose soul is vibrating at a lower frequency. And because of that, you're going to see in that chart anger, depression, guilt, sadness, victimhood, maybe a little bit higher, it starts to get a little bit better. But these people are going to stay in that density. And they're going to stay in that density because they're smoking every day. That's calcifying their pineal gland. They're eating food that American culture is pumping into you. They're getting 5G waves showered at them at night while they sleep non-stop. This culture has designed to keep people as robots and disconnect them. And so what's happening is it's lowering their vibration on a physical realm. Right. And so negative things happen to them and around them. And start like just paying attention to it and you'll see it. You'll see it. You'll see someone that bad things happen to them and around them. And then notice that it's not just bad things happen to them, it's everything. It's okay, well, their diet's bad. They also are not sleeping a lot. They're also not working out. They're also not, how come good things can't happen to the person that's working out? Or how, you know what I mean? That when you switch that, it's going to be how you do one thing, it's how you do everything. And you're going to see that in people's life. It's about raising frequencies, raising vibrational frequencies. And I think that if you're having trouble and if I'm speaking to you and you're the person behind the camera and you're saying, that's me, I'm hurt, I'm not making money, I'm not doing this, I'm smoking cigarettes, I'm drinking all that. How do I do it? How do I raise my how do I get this stuff to happen to me? How do I get intuition? How do I get lottery tickets to win? How do I get this? How do I get this? You can raise your vibration physically by breath work, by meditation, by I am affirmations, by practices. You can physically do it, forcing your physical body to raise your vibration. Practice Kundalini yoga. Do some research into it first. Do some absolute research into yoga before you start jumping in. You don't want to start messing with things that you don't understand.
Right.
But you can raise your vibration on a physical level. And what's going to happen is after that meditation, you can almost kind of look at a chart and read the emotion that you're in and understand that you're at this hertz or this frequency. And how long can you stay there for? Can you stay there for a minute, 5 minutes, an hour, a whole day? A whole day in gratitude? How can you stay loving and happy in gratitude for a whole day? But can you do that? Can you do it for a whole week? What happens if you do it for a whole week? What happens if you do it for more than an hour a day? That's all I want to that's it. Just raise your vibration and you're going to watch things happen. The higher vibration gets, the more you're going to want to raise it. The more you're going to research, the more you're going to start doing this. You're going to stop scrolling on social media because you know that lowers my vibration and it gets me connected to this realm. When this is a dream, buddy, this is the dream that we're in. When we pass, this is a movie. This is a movie and a very short scene in a very immortal movie. But it's it. It was a movie for all of us.
Right.
You know?
That's how it should be. A lot of people in America, maybe other countries too, really fear death. I used to when I was growing up, but now I've come to peace with it. Yeah,
I used to fear. I would say I feared death as a toddler and then as a teenager, really just trying to survive. I wasn't scared of it, but me and my brother both had talked about it, you know, and even through our 20s, it's just like we didn't think we were going to get this far.
Wow.
At 25.
It was that bad for you guys.
25. Childhood and then immediately after our teenage years into the Marine Corps, and he went to the Gary Job Corps and he went to the Army, and it was just, dude, how do you know, we didn't plan past 18, let alone 25. Now I'm almost 32. I've got another 70 years here, and I'm blessed to have woken up at the age of 30, or 31, I guess. So I'm blessed to have woken up at the age of 31. I've got 70 more years to pass down the knowledge and the word of God.
Right.
It's energy, it's light, and it's love, and it's good. And the more you see it and you feel it, the more you're going to see it and the more you're going to feel it. Everything is a belief system. And if you don't believe it, you're not going to see it. If what I'm saying to you today is seemingly make believe, then that's because it is. It 100% is. What I'm saying is make believe. It's all make believe. This is all imagination, right? I'm saying it, but I believe it. And that's why magic's happening to me. So if you say it, you have to believe it and watch it happen to you. And if you don't believe it, you're going to stay in the same place.
It's a dark place. Yeah, I was atheist for a bit. It's pretty dark.
So I think that humans are three-part people. We're physical, spiritual, and mental or emotional, right? And so we live in a constant physical and emotional world, and we disconnect from that spiritual side. And so did I. Being a Satanist is atheism. Just, you know, there's nothing after you die. You're a god. Do what you can right now. Party it up. Live it up. Snort the blow. Do this. Bang here and go crazy for it. So that's wrong. That's not it. Walking the godly path is, hey, free will, but Jacob doesn't know that. Amanda doesn't know that, right? Jester doesn't know that. Free will, but go help them out with your free will. Use your free will because these people don't know it. They're going through here the same way you're going through life. But I'm blessed to be wearing white pants in a boardroom on a podcast, right? And so that's my calling. That's my journey, is to help and to pull people up, to physically raise their vibrational level and understanding to something bigger than themselves. Once you start pouring into other people, that's the message of God.
Right.
That's love. It's to support and give into other people. And one of the 12 laws of the universe is the law of compensation. You've heard the law of attraction, right? You've heard the law of karma. The law of compensation, it's also a universal law. These are universal laws. that which what you give, you will receive. So give. Stop receiving. Stop taking. Start giving. If you only have $5 to your name, you're supposed to split that off. Hand $1 out to everyone that has less. And you're going to find some people. You're going to find a ton of people that have a lot less than you.
Yeah.
So give that $5 out until you're back with zero. And then watch what happens. That's all I'm saying. Watch what happens.
Starts coming back.
Not only is it going to come back, it's going to come back tenfold.
Absolutely.
It's going to happen, and it'll happen quick.
Yep.
And the more righteous you are in your actions, the faster that is going to happen. Start doing things selflessly for other people and doing the most you can. You're supposed to go into everything full force with everything that you are. Compassion and your passion is the language of the universe. That is the language of manifestation. You were passionate about it. You're excited about it. That's why we told you. That's why we told you to do that. That's why we told you to pick that up. You love music? Do it. Full on. Watch the money come. Watch the money come. You love writing? Do it. Full on. Give yourself no breaks. Write. Watch the money come.
Yep.
Watch the people come. Watch everything. Whatever you like doing, pour into it. And watch everything that involves that start flowing into your life. And you want to write some more, but you don't have enough money? Start writing little. Start doing something and watch your writing produce money.
Abundance.
And, abundance is a byproduct. Abundance is a byproduct of joy and happiness. Finding this high vibrational frequency and being in it in a constant state, that everything else is a byproduct.
Yeah.
Everything else just comes to you. It flows.
I love it, man. Yeah, I saw all 4 of my grandparents. They died pretty suddenly, but a lot of them had regrets, man. So
Yeah.
I'm fortunate at 27 to learn that lesson from them, that
Definitely.
let me help other people and not live a life that other people want me to live, but what I want to do.
If you can teach them to love, then perhaps you've given them their last go around on earth. This earth school is rough. It's rough. How is it not rough? It sucks, right? This sucks compared to everything we've been told heaven is. This sucks compared to everything else we've been told everywhere else is. This sucks. Do you want to keep doing it? You want to do it again? Did you want to do it in the 1900s? How about the 1700s, 1600s? Do you want to do it in the year 2200? We see the way the world's going. How many times do you want to do this life? So help your fellow man. Help yourself out and help him to understand love and
Right.
help him to get to the point. You can't love other people unless you love yourself. So this starts with you. It starts with forgiveness. It starts with me looking in the mirror, seeing my tattoos and saying, I forgive you. I forgive you because you didn't know. You didn't know the path. You didn't know the light. All the people that you've harmed, that you've hurt, a lot. I'm one that needs to walk down the street for miles whipping myself to repent for everything. And I see that and I see it. And I have to daily forgive myself. And that's what it is. It's forgiveness. Once you forgive yourself and you learn to really, truly love who you are, then you start to exercise. You start to feed your bodysuit. You start to exercise your bodysuit. You start to take care of it. And you start to give into other people. When your love pours out enough for you, it pours into everything else.
Absolutely.
That's the message, is love yourself.
Yeah, it's important, man. It touched me seeing them have so many regrets, and I've done some past life work and all this crazy stuff. And it's really helped me on my journey, man. People like you are inspirational. And Billy.
Yeah, Billy is huge. Billy was honestly one of the first ones that I kind of followed it resonated with me. And then from there, it was a trickle-down effect into probably maybe 20, 30 other offers and other teachings and other things. So I've picked up the Book of Enoch and the Ethiopian Bible, the Satanic Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, the Torah, and the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, the King's List, a lot of these ancient texts that I've read and studied. And that's what got me to understand. I'm what I would perceive as an intelligent person, and I have the ability to lock in information very well. And that's what intelligence is the ability to just learn. It's just to lock it in, right? And so I've locked it in, and I've locked in enough to come up with my own understanding that all religion is wrong.
Wow.
But God is real.
That's
all
a crazy
religion
statement.
It is. All religion is wrong, but God is real. And he exists. I don't think it's a he. It's not a girl. It's not a he. It's just it could potentially be a masculine energy. And I think that a lot of the people that have met this figure when they pass away do say that it is a masculine energy. Doesn't matter if you're a feminist or not. You're going to die. You're going to come back and you're going to tell me the same thing. It's a masculine energy, but regardless, it's energy nonetheless. It's this conscious being, right? But religions is all incorrect. I would say the closest to it The closest to the teachings maybe could be potentially Hinduism. I would say is really close. Not the multiple gods, because Hinduism does start putting more worship on what I would say is the extraterrestrial gods and beings that came down.
Yeah.
That puts more worship on them, whereas Christianity and Catholicism put more worship on Christ himself, or the actual God, the actual energy, right? Where some of the writings in the Bible were the word of God, but some of them were the word of King James, and some of the word were the word of other men, and the other 100+ men that wrote the Bible 500 years after the death of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But Hinduism teaches about the chakras. It teaches about the energy source. It teaches about different things. It's probably the most accurate in terms of if you want to reach a higher consciousness and understand who and what you truly are, you could start jumping into some Reiki teachings, Tai Chi. Hinduism's close, but religion's just incorrect. Just don't follow it to a T. Mm-hmm. Read it, but understand that what they're writing came from something older.
Right.
And then read that.
Absolutely.
And then realize that what that wrote was actually something older.
That's what people don't do.
And then read that.
They just read the modern version.
How did the story that made it in the Torah, the Quran, and the Bible, how did this come from this ancient clay tablet? Why is this clay tablet that's some odd thousand more years older than all of this talking about the same? Why does it have the same exact word for word verbatim speeches as some of the words of God in the Bible? Is the Bible, well, if the Bible came after this clay tablet, but it's so closely accurate to it that the Bible plagiarized it? Is it plagiarism, or is it just a retelling of something that's been true for thousands and thousands and thousands of years? And that's what it is. Religion is man-made, created to help people understand what once was. Since then, shadow governments and corporations, CIA, along with Lockheed Martin, Skunk, where a lot of these organizations have been at the top of this pyramid, higher than our government, higher than anything else, that are locking this away from the public eye. They're keeping this away. They're keeping the bases in Antarctica a secret. They're keeping these energy weapons a secret. They're keeping everything a secret, and it's all coming out. All the whistleblower testimonies coming out. All the Congress, everything's coming out. And in the next year or two, I think that we're going to come into a period of awakening.
Wow.
Something massive is going to take place. I believe that I possibly think that open contact could take place in the next couple of years
with aliens.
With aliens, which is weird to say that a lot of what I believe in everything, it's aliens are involved, but you have to understand that the universe is massive, and that if there's infinite parallel universes, and then everything exists at all times, everywhere at the same time.
Yeah,
it all exists. String theory and quantum mechanics show that everything exists. So absolutely aliens exist. Not only do aliens exist, but an alien exists of every possible imagination thing that you can think of. Because you thought it exists somewhere on a plane, somewhere in the universe. It exists. So aliens absolutely do exist. I believe that I've read a couple whistleblower testimonies that state over 100 different species have made contact with the U.S. government and other entities. So I think it's going to happen. I think in a couple years, open contact to the point where the general public cannot deny it anymore will take place. And then maybe by year 2030, 2035, it'll be to a point where it's a very, very mainstream thing. The world needs to slowly evolve into that, because you take 1990 Americans and you drop an alien down on board and you lose the world. You lose everything, because nothing exists.
We'll just
anymore.
attack them, yeah.
Yeah, what do you mean aliens can use telekinesis? I thought that was just in movies.
Yeah.
How can they talk to me this way? It starts breaking everything. It breaks science. It breaks it. So we weren't ready in the 90s. I think we tried to be ready in the early 1900s with Nikola Tesla, and I feel like he was snuffed out I believe the FBI or the CIA snuffed him out. They actually ended up clearing his house out the day after or 2 days after he was dead, and they took everything and didn't give it back to his family for 9 years. And then when they came out, they stated, sorry, we didn't find anything in his research, anything new. You're telling me that nothing he had been researched was new? Because everything was new.
Right.
Everything was new. Nikola Tesla is responsible for over 80% of the world's inventions today.
Wow.
Nikola Tesla also states that he would fall asleep and answer things in his dream. He would lucid dream, astral project, and remote view to answer the questions and revisit these ideas. That's where he came up with all this stuff.
Wow.
And I believe that we had the key to that 100 years ago.
So he could have been a time traveler.
I feel that Nikola Tesla was nothing more than a messenger. Nikola Tesla lived around the same time as Aleister Crowley. So Aleister Crowley was on one part of the world in the UK, came to the US, and same thing with Nikola Tesla. But Aleister Crowley was visited by an entity that he named LAM, L-A-M. Well, if you look at this entity, it's an alien. It's an alien. It's an alien. It's an alien. Whether it's one of, it's not. It's, I would say, I think you can describe them as the Greys, but there's different species of
Yeah.
them. And so he was visited by this alien species and was told everything. He was told this whole meaning. Aleister Crowley started the Church of Telema, and his writings, the writings of Aleister Crowley, went on to later found the Church of Satan that Anton LaVey started. It was based off of Aleister Crowley's writing. So Aleister Crowley, you're telling me that Aleister Crowley, visited by this lamb creature, later on, trickle effect, started the Church of Satan that is now a worldwide organization with how many Satanists in it? So at the same time that Aleister Crowley was visited by this person and was shown only your godlike power to do negative, to do bad, the same time Nikola Tesla was visited. But Nikola Tesla wasn't visited in physical form. Nikola Tesla was visited in his dreams.
Yeah.
Through beings whose sole purpose is to let you live your life and not have this massive interaction with you. That's why you're not going to see them. That's why you're not going to see these 7-foot-tall Andromedans. That's not where you're not going to see the tall whites or these other alien species that they're saying are positive. It's because they're not here to manipulate you. And so Nikola Tesla would sleep, and in his dreams would these visions be put in. And Nikola Tesla, his entire life was 95% in service to everyone else. He died penniless. He died with nothing. He died with nothing except for his research and in a decrepit old body because he had sacrificed and given everything based off of this. I believe that Nikola Tesla was a messenger the same way that Aleister Crowley was. However, the evil on this earth snuffed Nikola Tesla out and put us into another period of darkness for the next 100 years. It wasn't until 1940 when we downed our first aircraft, our first UFO. There was 2 in the world that downed on Roswell, one in Australia and one in Arizona, or one in New Mexico. So it wasn't until then, right, until 20 years after Tesla, 20, 25 years after Tesla, that we had that technology. But it's been a constant dumbing down of the people, a constant keep the people where they are, manipulate them, show them negative stuff to keep their densities low. Right? Keep their vibration low. Show them this to keep them disconnected. Let's create virtual reality so that they're not in reality. They're the furthest thing away from it. They're the furthest thing away from reality. Let's do all this stuff. The phones, the everything, all this technology that we've created in the last 80 to 100 years since that has been designed to disconnect people, and not just from other people. It disconnects you from yourself. You're disconnected from yourself. You're not your higher conscious. I'm telling you, people need to look in the mirror, and you're not you. This is not you. This is not you. And don't wait for you to die in 80 years for you to realize, Jesus, that was just a movie, and all your higher consciousness is elsewhere, and you're traveling and you're doing all those other things. Don't wait for 80 years to realize that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Or you're going to do it again.
Yep.
You're going to do it again. And if you did it wrong the first time, not only will you do it again, but your soul contract says that you will do it again in the same exact circumstances. They'll wipe your memory, and you'll come over and you'll do it again in the same circumstances. Your soul contract is detailed. It's detailed to the point where if you might have built up karmic debt in your immortal lifetime somewhere else as a different alien being, as a female, as a this, as whatever it is, but it's that karmic debt gets paid here. It gets paid here because this is one of the hardest places to live. It is one of the most difficult places to live. Think about everyone. Think about your average person and all the struggles that they have to go through every time they open their eyes, every time they wake up in this dream, in this Sims with no cheat codes, how difficult it is for them to do that. And they do it again and again and again until they break off that karmic debt. And when they break that karmic debt off and they learn love, and they've done all the life paths that there are. They've done life path 6, 7, 5, 33, 11. They've done them all, and they're ready, and they've learned. At that point, when you pass, you get a choice. You get a choice. It'll always be a choice to keep coming back. I believe that you'll always get that choice to continue to reincarnate. But you'll have the choice to go elsewhere. And what I've learned is with these beings and these alien beings, I've watched a couple whistleblower testimonies that state that the beings that are being communicated by the United States, there's a centrality with all of them. They're all humanoid. Every one of them, all 100 plus species that has been in contact with the U.S. government that I've been told is humanoid. It's bipedal, 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 forward-facing eyes, mouth, nose, Simple, right? They're all humanoid. So that begs a question, because you would think that sentient life growing on other planets or elsewhere would develop completely differently.
Yeah.
And that's not the case.
Interesting.
And that, I think, is someone that the government probably knows that, when God in the Bible says, I built myself in the image, I built you in my image. And that consciousness went into every being in the universe. And then every being in the universe looks like us. What is his image? It's a bipedal, bi-armed, two-legged being with two forward-facing eyes. If every sentient being in the universe that has higher consciousness looks the same, just slightly different evolutionary factors, then he did create us in his image.
Wow.
That's it. Then he did. And this belief system doesn't, instead of disregarding ghosts, disregarding supernatural stuff, disregarding mermaids, or disregarding other stuff, it tells you that this is a law of nature. It validates it by stating that this is a law of nature. When you start learning about this, you start learning about different realms, different planes of reality, different dimensional realities that exist within the same one. And so you start to see things. You start to see miracles. You start to see evil. You start to see, you could see bad spirits or you could see good spirits, but you're going to start to see things integrate themselves on this reality, on this plane. It's going to happen. And I feel like a lot of the viewers here are going to start to wake up. I feel like this alone is going to get them to ask questions.
Oh yeah, that's a big mission of my show, actually.
I need them to ask
Wake
questions.
people up, yeah, and ask questions.
I saw that. That's actually the reason why I said yes to coming on. Was I noticed the people that are going on to your show. Some of them are wild characters, but I'm like, yes, get them all on. Get the guy on. Get the guys that went to prison on. Get the MC guys. Get someone from every aspect, because you're going to find relatability with someone at some point.
Oh yeah.
But the central focus of your podcast, in my mind, has seemingly been to wake people up.
Yep.
Now, I don't know if that's waking them up to God or waking them up to anything, but you're waking them up to themselves. Wake up to you. You wake up.
Yeah,
right?
I love that. I love that, dude. Ali, it's been awesome. Closing thoughts. Where can people find you and keep up with you, man?
Yeah, absolutely. So I just started my social media. I am on Instagram at @thereal_alleycat. I own a life insurance agency, so we're hiring, making a ton of money there. We got multiple six figures agents, but you can always hit me up there. The life insurance page shows shock content and wild, but it also wakes you up. So feel free to follow, and I'm going to start putting my story out there.
Boom. We'll link it below. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for my story.
You just helped a lot of people. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.